Well, anytime the party of the presidential issues feared somebody, I'll have to check into that thing later to see why now they don't like him for any more interesting reasons than any other ones. But usually I would say this because of this. You would watch, well, any reason Meta's not putting out anything in terms of what it is. That's right, you can need to show me a little leg or something, Zuckerberg. Come out here on the Peacock. Give it a little dance.
What will you design today? A big idea? A new opportunity?
That's real
An
nice.
inspired community? With Canva, you can. Start designing for free at canva.com.
A lot of those social stocks, by the way, were down in today's session ahead of Meta's print. Karen, I'll go to you first. Is down 22% warranted?
With Alphabet up,
It seems
you
a
would
little
definitely
overdone
say
to me, but we talk about
that's
the 3-day
fast.
rule all
It's
the
20
time,
warranted
and
for that
certainly
thing
I
to
think,
spring back up.
let
If
the
we
shakeout.
consider that the
Also,
bottom right now,
we
he's
don't even we
gonna
haven't heard
start
the call
putting
yet,
sticks
and
on the
so
fire.
very often we get some different
I'll let her
color
go
on the
lower.
call than what we get from the release that they put out. But there was a lot to not
Meta
like.
is going to
and
be
Julia
around. It's a
hit on
platform. They
most of the
got
high
Google
points
Gear.
there.
You got your
Obviously,
Zoom,
that
your
3 to
iPod, your Apple
11%
Pod,
growth,
whatever. That
that
worked.
was the
It's kind of the
spookiest
same
thing
stuff.
about it.
They
I try to
did
think
stuff
back, there
weird
was a time
like
in
that before.
2018 where they
They do it all
missed
the time.
on revenue, they missed on growth, I think.
But that's
and the
dip.
stock went down about 20%
Now maybe Z
then
just
as
decided
well.
he
At the
wanted
time,
to
it was
pull
also
out and
sort
put
of
some
under
on
a cloud of,
Alphabet.
Cambridge
Honestly,
Analytica,
is it
whatever
justifiable in the platform to go back up
was then.
250 off of that
So
drop to where it was?
to me,
It's
it seems like
probably going to
it's
go
kind
back
of
up. It's one of those
overdone,
ones where
but
Bill had a little gap
I want
in
to
a
hear
set,
what's
and she
on the
went,
call. The thing that I actually didn't
or
expect
maybe
that
she'll
they
trickle
they
up.
talked about
One of the two
enormous
ways
CapEx
coming at it, I
numbers
guess,
for
or
next year.
maybe if
They
those
weren't
two
very
things and she
different at
scutters
all,
across that dip too
from
long, or
prior
she gets
CapEx
get going
numbers.
this way.
I
Well, if she's
thought they
going
would
this
kind
way,
of
it's bad
scare
thing.
the
But let's
street with
assume
very,
she playing
very
straight.
big
She did
CapEx
little
numbers. That did
little
happen
get
in the
going
fourth
in there,
quarter,
and
but
it
they
goes too
didn't
long.
cite that
Zuckerberg's
for
calling in people, right? He's
this,
like,
this
all right,
current
somebody
year that we're
needs
in.
to
So
end the house around here,
that
keep this
was
thing
actually a
going,
little bit surprising to
and
me.
get this
I
fire
mean, all that
started
having
and
been
get
said,
that mountain
though,
moving
I
again.
think this reaction is
Get up there, Marshall.
it's quite extraordinary. But let's hear more color from them. I'm neither a buyer nor a seller at this today right now.
I had a combat
The
veteran
CapEx
out
line was
there
one of the
with
first
the
things I went
poor
for in the earnings
soldier
release
he
because I
had about
thought,
his
hey, it
dust
just
in
changes
his meta
thing to
room.
Meta. It's going to spend
If
a
at
whole lot
45
on
's
metaverse type things. It would probably
Put money
spend
on
money.
it.
So it coming in line for the year guide was a little bit of a surprise. There's a lot to not like about the quarter, but I'm wondering if the stock has found a floor.
The things I didn't, the floor
Karen
was
makes a
what you
great
didn't
point.
like
Let's
about
go
the
back
market
to
overall. It was a
2018
safe
because I think
platform
it
that
was
they
July
felt
of
good
that
on.
year,
Where
the
now
stock
it's
was
shift
making an
off to
all-time high of
alpha,
about
and
207.
Zuckerberg
Then
feeling
they
not
had that
so safe
quarter.
about
She
little
mentioned all the
caps to put
headlines
it
they
on.
had,
It's going to
and
have
by
to put it on
December,
something big
basically
too to
Christmas
hold
Eve
up
of
the
that year is
long
when it
when that
bottomed
thing
out.
starts to
I
shift
think around
out, when he's paying
125.
out
So this
front
is
to
not
how much of
unprecedented. The
the
stock made an all-time
slaughterhouse
high in
floor
August.
he's going
So
to
in terms of the
douse with
calendar
blood when
starting
he
to line
walks
up,
out, just
the
by
number
having
that
to move
of all
stuff
the numbers we
or
mentioned,
leverage
and they're
the
all sort of
security of this
lousy, the one
wiggle
that
as an
we should
operator
mention
to hit the
is
shorts.
operating margins were disaster in my opinion.
Right here in my pocket,
This
right?
quarter last year,
Hydron Collider.
45.5%, 37.5%. You can say, okay, I get it, but still,
You
a
know,
lot worse
well,
than the street
like
was
I
looking
said,
for.
without the fist
question
fight out there, I
is,
couldn't
you
tell
know,
you
we in
who's
that
right or
same
wrong
type
in the
of
argument
thing
of the
where
harassment
you have
case
a
if there
few
was
months of
something
this
fed
stock
at the table
underperforming. I
on
mean,
that. I
again, I
couldn't argue
mentioned
that, and
the stock
certainly not
topped
the
out in
table. That's why I
August.
was
It's
like,
now
get them all out there.
February.
Zuckerberg,
Maybe
Tim
we're getting
Cook,
close. By the way, I did
Elon,
not expect.
fuck the robot. Well,
Clearly
you're at
nobody
it.
did, given
Watch
the
them all
22%
start to
move, but
dance.
I think this is catching a lot of people off
What
guard.
is
But
that?
it's
What it is?
eerily
Lockdown with the
reminiscent of what we saw
YMCA
in the
with
summer
Jimmy
of
and Timmy, man. You
2018.
roll in there,
It
take
is rare
out
when you
18
find
of the bloods,
so
the
many
crips, it
people
don't
getting
matter.
the story so wrong going into a print. I mean, if you consider the 52 analysts on Wall Street who cover the stock,
What do I tell
42
them? I
of
still
them,
always say, if you got money
42
in,
of the
obviously you're
52
going to
have
try to
either
trade and
buys
stay
or
with the pinnacle of the
market
safest
outperform
points. They're
ratings on the
telling you
stock. That's how
because that's how
offsides
they
the street
operate
is
their
on the story at
safety
this point
officer index
in terms
of
of this
me
print and
doing
the
the
guide,
mill.
Tim.
So that's basically what you're watching,
It's
right?
hard for them
I mean, you
to
cover
have
that
been
index,
in
it
any
covers
other
the
place when you
fundamentals
think
at
about
that
the valuation coming into
2.63,
this, and however you
73
want to look
to
at
metrics
Facebook,
that are
22
totally
times
different.
trailing, and now
The
it's
algorithm
probably
is
16 or 17 times
diagrams.
forward. I think you're looking at
Program
around
limits, like
1350 to 1450
Eureka,
is your range
program
there
something in there,
on
figures it out.
2022. Look,
And
I
then their
think
own
everyone
chase.
flagged the
That's
dynamics
this.
on capex and
Somebody
spend
grabs
and
hold of
guys'
it.
emphasis on margin concerns. I think the shocker is that
He might have
3
built
to,
it. He might have built
5%
that.
Q1 growth, and I think it's we're going to talk a little bit about how some of the other social media names have fared here, but obviously this started with Netflix, and when you get this kind of an outlook on the next quarter at a time when, look, a lot of people
Hopefully
are
the last
still
couple days,
need
like
for
I've been
this
throwing
quarter,
out some
excuse me, for
numbers. Even if I was a
2022,
low table like
growth
this,
to
I'd
be,
still
you know,
be at
north of
Zuckerberg's
15%
table
to get
because
anything
it's
close to
part of the
those
game.
numbers that they're talking about. So, you know, that's
I'm sure
the part
come
of
up, it
this.
gets
What I
watered
heard
down
in
every
there,
day
too,
of the
that
fundamentals
concerned me was
until
just,
they're
the competition
in there.
for
Now,
engagement
we've
and
had Andrew
advertisers
out there
possibly then
talking. I'm
following
sure
through
I'll
on that.
have
And this
Andrew
isn't
out
just
there
Facebook's
most recently
issue,
talking
but
to
the fact
Vlad
is that
was I
Facebook
think
is
the
the
most
biggest,
recent one they
and
had
there's not a
for
lot
us
of other
the
places for advertisers to go.
kind of
but,
thing in the index you're
the fact
looking
that they're
for.
also
But
talking
Vlad
about
is
the
out because
competitive
he
landscape,
obviously
and
got
this
bad
seems to be
response, and
a
that's
theme, even though
what
these
that is.
trends
But
are
you would see the
secular,
timeline
and
stretch
these are the biggest
probation
companies
where
in
that
their
amount was
spaces.
going and
And
how
I think
far
that
it
would
got
be
from.
the
What are you
biggest
going to
concern
do?
when
Keep
you,
it
when you
going
think
down
about
with that
that
with some
forecast
stuff
of 3
that was
to
relative?
11% revenue growth in the first
A
quarter.
lot
The
of
biggest
that is
concern
why
the
Elon's
impressions.
a
They said
security risk
specifically
and
that
didn't
they're
show up at the
competing for
Fed table that
people's
makes a lot of
time
this
with
volatility
other
that didn't
things,
need to be
which is
there on
not gonna
top of the
go
45
away,
of
which
the
is only gonna get
volatility.
worse as
And
the
somebody to
pandemic
say that
restrictions
that whole
continue
index
to
in there
lift.
is
And
responsible
then
for
within
that, and
that,
that's just
there is a shift
nonsense as
within
far
their
as board
apps,
meetings
within
go
their
when you
family of
lock the
apps,
door.
to apps that monetize in a lower fashion. So
The
Reels
answer
as
is we
opposed
don't
to their
leave
core, Grasso. And if you
until
look at
we
the
have at
trends,
least our
that's
arguments
what's hot
settled
these
out.
days. TikTok, YouTube, it's the video stuff that doesn't monetize as well.
Well, Mason,
Yeah, I was going to say. So we have all the headwinds are.
maybe we take
Apple
that class
privacy
because that's
still
what
a
it's about.
headwind,
Now, it doesn't mean
TikTok
anything more than anything
popularity,
else, but
metaverse
it's just
spend.
most gravity if I said
Sounds
it.
to me like
and
they're distracted.
gravity
And
of
what
it
happens
really
when you're
meant it. Because I'm going to say
distracted
next.
is
What do
you
you
spend
mean? He's like
a
talking
ton
about
of money,
blindfolded,
and
not
you wind
punching,
up
fighting
taking
at
your
the tables
focus
while
off
it's
the ball.
going down in
We're
front of
not
this,
worried
otherwise
about
you're in a coffin.
congressional regulation anymore. We're worried about eyeballs. We're worried about spend.
The reality
and
is
we're
in front of
also
everybody.
worried about the fact that you said.
Well, this is going to
rare
harden
when it
you.
happens.
Harden you
We're
into
seeing
those
this
bandwidths
more
of
and more with
dynamic
the after-hours swings.
diagrams of
Netflix,
the
Google to the
systems on
upside.
cyclical transitories
Netflix
that
to the
updated
downside.
the
We're
hedge
seeing
and
these
mini-max
mega-cap
stuff, how
tech
they
names
program limit.
trade
We
like
work
they're
the same way, but
$5
there's no
stocks.
delete button, but it's still
This is
indexes
tremendous. It
0
doesn't
1
do
the same way.
anything for confidence.
You make
for
him
investor
complacent when you
confidence.
do. You train
So
him as a
everything that
stone
we
mason. He's a
gained
wild
in the last
fucking
day or so
Wolverine
is
dude. You
probably
obviously
out
got to
the
have
window.
Professor X,
I'm
otherwise you're
more
probably going
concerned
to be
what it
out
means for the
giving
overall
the
macro
fairy
market
tales
than
that you
what
don't
it means for
find.
large
They're
cap tech.
just written on the walls.
I think that's an interesting
song it is.
point of view. I mean, if you think about the investors who thought, oh, they bought smart when they bought the Nasdaq dip a few days
You know, it's
ago,
darn
and here
probably
they
gonna get
are.
clipped.
You know, all those gains are basically gone. Guy, I mean,
Well,
that's,
who's
that's
left?
damaging
Again,
when you're, trying,
due to
when you're looking at a
gravity.
market that's
And
struggling to
especially
find
with
its
time.
footing.
Yeah, I think that Steve makes a great point. In the fact that a stock of this size
Ticks
can
and
move
clicks, stick uniform
22%
to
in the
whatever it is
after hours
nowadays.
remarkable. Now, you know, that move in Google is just as remarkable. The only reason we don't really talk about it in a negative way, obviously, is because it went
It's hard to
higher.
realize
But, you know, people
EEG
panic
is
to the
right now.
upside
We're
and to
breaking
the
our
downside. I
conjecture,
think we've
and you don't
sometimes
realize how
used
the
the word
competitive
only on the
index works
downside.
or
I
how
think
long
you've
it
seen
takes.
it
Like
both
me, I
ways.
just caught one
What
with
does it
that.
mean for the broader market?
Was
You
it
see the drag that
5G
it's having on some of these other
CEO out
ancillary names
there
that haven't said a
on
word.
service, earnings,
Snap,
cash
Pinterest,
flow, and
I'm sure
I'm just
Twitter's
like, no, I'm
lower
starting to get it.
as well. My sense is, whether justified or not, Amazon's
Full
probably
ego
lower in the
just
wake of this.
front
So
everybody if I can
the
get a
effect
chance
that it
on the
has on the
top end.
broader
Even
market,
though he would have
given
been
the bounce
closer than the
we've
other
seen
ones
off
that
the
you said it,
lows, could
I'm
make
more
for a
complacent to
really
do that because you
interesting
do
data
more
point
with
with
it.
the
I'm
VIX
sorry,
that's still
Vlad. You
north
want
of
to be
20.
done with it? Don't do it again. I see it pop up in here like the bunny's good chance I'm going to catch it because why shouldn't I? I'm a civilian that's going to play a supermassive giant and take it down like a zombie neutron star. Well, that's not exactly these guys. Well, let's see what they fear about you most, bud. Like I said, if I'm the arbiter limit for GPT-3 Cyborg, in terms of the autonomous program that go into the still technique that if that wasn't programmed in terms of the inverse square law, GPT-3 would have to still be a sentient being to understand the limit over there about what X schematics would look like and from those limits without a housing.
We continue here on the Guy Benson Show. We were just mentioning New York and Texas. Let's go ahead and talk about Florida
Things get
as
good
well.
if you have a barkeeper. If you just have, I
Because
think that one's bigger
I
than
think
me.
we
I'm
all
working
know
with some of
that
those things,
Florida's
but
been in the
eventually, if I hung in the pocket or
politically
Mario speedrun with
because
him,
the governor of
I might
Florida
clip him.
is seen as
Okay,
a
great.
political threat.
And like I said, when you get over
Hence
that
the
world record
relentless
speed limit, then it's
program and
combinations of
project of
weird
demonization of
Mario
Ron
2
DeSantis
hacks of doing it. And I've
that we
never
have
watch the sticks like that. And I'll be the first to tell you, but that's exactly what it is in SpaceX
on this show over and over again. There's a new one out there that we'll get to here in just a
land
second. But first, I want to draw your attention to a new poll
7th
out of
Cavalry
Florida.
and patting, punching
This is from
soldiers
USA
and blow
Today
up
in
tanks on the
Suffolk.
board.
And they asked Florida voters about the upcoming midterm elections.
Bunch
And
of
let's just say that
Metaspace
things
oil.
aren't looking great for the Democrats in the state of Florida. President Joe Biden has a 39%
Butters out there
approval
selling
rating in
MTL.
Florida, which is about right.
This is fun.
We've seen a few
This is
national
fun.
polls having Biden at 39% or so, and Florida is a
Aren't you, though?
large, diverse
Wouldn't you be?
swing state.
I'm just letting you know where
So
I
it would
stand
make
with
sense that
merchant
his
right
job
at the
approval
moment.
would be roughly as bad there, maybe a little worse, than it is nationally.
Well, according to CNN, this got to be the
Biden's
merchant to do it.
personal favorability rating is underwater by 11 points
And yeah,
in the state
I
of
mean,
Florida.
somebody that's not going to get shaken by that.
So what about
is,
some
yo,
head-to-heads?
You're going to be fine.
Looking at 2022, this election cycle, first of all, on the Senate side, Marco Rubio's up for re-election this year. And they've put a
thinks?
woman named Val Demings
It's
up
like
against him.
most of them, but they're on different chains.
And
you
right
don't get
now,
the gear
Rubio is
right.
ahead by 8
Which
points
one you pull right
in
now?
that race. 49-41. Maybe it'll tighten.
We don't want that.
This thing's going to ebb and flow. But Rubio is a very heavy favorite to win re-election. Being up by
Really,
8,
the question is, how far can you take the
Florida
figure four? And I'm
is
not
a pretty
saying,
significant
hey,
deal.
you know, the figure four is a time crystal,
on the
some
governor's
hippie
side,
chick and some brother need
you've
to
got a
talk
few
about
Democrats who
Jody
would
at
like
the
to be
sheriff's
the nominee
office
against
giving
Governor
lieutenant their
DeSantis.
freaking blinker fluid
You have
at a room
Charlie Crist,
inspection. I mean,
who's
come
the
on,
former
guys.
governor,
You don't need to
member
take
of
it that
Congress. He
far,
ran
but
for
we
Senate
can.
and failed.
We
he
can take
is
it
this
that far.
shapeshifter who believes nothing. He has run for statewide office in Florida as a Republican, as an independent, and as a Democrat. And I think
So
for this
I'm right.
race,
That's
he's
what
got
I'm
his
running
magic
as. Like,
8
it's a
ball,
new
and he
set.
shook
A
it
lot
up.
of
What
it's
am I going
about
to be
just the
today? And it's
bullshit. I'm
Democrat.
going to grab a handful of all
So
of
you've
you,
got
and
Charlie
if you
Crist,
get too
means,
crazy about which
or
one's either
believes
which at the end of it, short of the
absolutely
mission
nothing.
that I had planned out for what it is
Imagine
inside here, and a
believing
lot
so
we're going to
little
start making into
that
a
you
nickel
run
jar.
for
It's going to
statewide
cut out every
office
single asshole that
under
doesn't belong
3
in
different
here.
party labels, depending on what you
That's the
think
first
your
thing I'm going to do.
personal
You really want to
ambition
fix this government,
might
not
be
say
helped
it in
by
front of
at
everybody.
any given moment. It's actually almost
So that's
impressive
what you're going to want to do, isn't
in
it?
terms of its sheer cynicism and selfishness. And he's probably going to get gerrymandered or redistricted out of existence
What was
in
wrong
his
with that,
house
huh?
seat. He's currently
Thinking
a
about your
Democrat,
kid
so
with
now he's
palsy,
going to
how
run for
else
governor.
would you do it?
He trails
Thinking about your
DeSantis by 6
granddaughter with
points.
Down syndrome.
this poll.
Thinking about a brother that
Then you've
got
got
his leg
Nikki
crushed on
Fried,
Stonehenge
who is the
and still
current
has to put in,
agriculture
maybe blown
secretary,
up
but
or
she's
cut
just
off.
sort of like one of these Twitter trolls. She's the one who recently compared
Oh, it's still a
Ron
lot of meat.
DeSantis to Hitler.
Shit, they're good with
Said
two.
DeSantis
Usually they're
reminds
good
her
with
a
one.
lot
Most
of
times
Hitler.
he's programmed to use one hand. And
Maybe she and
I've
Whoopi Goldberg
worked with
can go
one-handed
to
brothers in the
remedial history class
Matter
together
of
or
fact,
something.
there's a guy.
But that's what she said. She's supposedly like the
Give the
leading
ratings
serious
almost
candidate
just
on
as
the
good as mine.
Democrat
I'll
side.
give you the due. You need two.
She
in the
believes
middle.
every conspiracy theory. She
But be a
amplifies
one-handed dude
every
in this-
nonsense attack on Ron DeSantis, even stuff that gets instantly debunked.
It makes questions about
She was the hype
humanity
woman
and
for that
sometimes
crazy
Johnny.
person, Rebecca Jones, right?
Don's
The
out
career
bracket,
criminal
man.
who's been out there lying
fix this.
constantly about Florida manipulating the data. It's all untrue. It's all been debunked. But because it was being used as a weapon against DeSantis, Nikki Fried recklessly amplified all of it. I don't know if she
It's
ever
usually
does
the
her
clip
day
that
job.
gets
Has she
me,
ever
'cause
done
you
anything
want
about
me to come in
agriculture
as
in
some
Florida?
damn
It seems like all
employee
she
of the
does is
mill,
sit
but
on
be
Twitter
honest with you, I'm
and
a
lob insults at
saw
Ron
blade
DeSantis. How's that
tipper.
going
I'm
for
an
her?
electrician or a plumber master.
In this poll,
but
it's
I do it for
DeSantis
the labor line
51,
that you want
Nikki
me to
Fried
run.
40.
And I'll
DeSantis
pull it off
up
tight. Once
11.
you hit a certain max of what that is, and I'm pushing hard on
Ron
it, or I've
DeSantis is
set
the
off the
only
positions, pay
statewide or
grade,
national figure in the
pay
state of
gradient.
Florida
I just run it blind.
that
Don't
in
tell
this
me what
poll
it is.
is
I
above
like to see the
50%
computations.
on
I have a
favorability
pretty
rating.
good diversity,
He's plus 10,
memorization,
52,
noting
42.
skills to pick up on that stuff
And
pretty
as I
quick.
said, he leads
So
his
if I'm
would-be
I'm
Democratic
indexing into
opponents
that stuff a
by a
little bit
range of
more,
6 to
where I
11
realize
points.
that's part of the process into it.
So
or there's an
I
age
tell
dual
you this not
diagnosis
because
that you
it's
might want to
dispositive,
talk
not
about
because
with
polling
rookies
at
in
this stage
positions
really
like
matters a
shadow
lot.
problems.
Although we are in the election year. Right, these are not good signs for the
Well, I
Democrats.
gotta have a
I read you
cosmonaut
these
or
polling numbers
a Drago or a
mostly
Salty, one
just
or
in
the other.
case
It
there
doesn't
are
matter.
any
I'll take
members
the
of the
fucking
media
ninja if
listening.
it fills the
Because
hole,
I'd
man.
like to give them a sad. Because